So the BPT of 5%, do you think that can already be brought back to
I have made my
4%?
position about that, and I have said that I don't want it rolled back. I'd like to see what fiscal year 2020 and fiscal year 2021 gives, because as a result of what has happened, we were able to actually also close the gap as a result of President Trump's Jobs Act legislation that took away about 68 million from our general fund. So those are the kinds of things that I am really looking at, Heidi, before, and like I have said, I have spoken to many business leaders also, and they are okay with the 5%.
Will that stay at least until 2020, fiscal year 2021, so 2022, there might be a
I would like
consideration.
for it to stay, and I'd like for it to stay forever.
With many accolades and celebrations. Buenos Micronesia, I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Rosario.
Thank you for joining us. It is September 16, Monday in 2019, the year of our Lord. Welcome to all our viewers in Guam, Saipan, Leyte, Zentinian, all throughout Micronesia, in Palau, in the Republic of the Marshall Islands, throughout the Federated States of Micronesia. Aloha to our fans in Hawaii. Hafaday to all of our fans throughout the United States of America.
New York.
Oh, I love New York.
Yeah.
You know what New York doesn't have?
What?
Dengue virus. Japan, Colombia, Europe, especially those of you overseas who are fighting for our freedom. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining us. Just know that while you're out there risking your lives for our freedom, the governor is here risking our lives with dengue fever. We'll get to it.
Yes,
we'll
we
get
will.
to it. So,
Please don't forget to like and share our page.
Oh, yeah.
Also, follow us on YouTube. I think we're gonna try to transition over there.
Oh, I forgot. I keep forgetting about this. So our website is kind of almost ready. If you go to www.kanditnews.com and scroll to the bottom of the page, you're able to subscribe, because what we're going to be doing, and maybe some of you have already started to get our email updates, is send out our stuff using the website as our platform. So if you subscribe to www.kanditnews.com, it will link to all of our Facebook, YouTube, and whatever stuff, and you'll get the news first from Kandit. Except, of course, when we go live.
Yeah.
When we go live on Facebook and on YouTube, I mean, as long as you get the notifications, what do you have to do? You have to click something?
Yeah, you go to follow. Click that and see first.
See first. Okay, cool. So, how was your day?
It was good.
It was. I put this shirt on about 40 minutes ago, and about 38 minutes ago, I got 2 spaghetti sauce stains, just so you know.
I warned him. I said, Troy.
And I warned her right back. I said, too late, Cello, it's going to happen in the next 30 seconds. As soon as I ate the spaghetti. She made really good spaghetti. So let's move on to our very first segment of the night, according to our new format that we're very proud of. We have teleprompters, okay? Now, we never said we knew how to operate the teleprompters. We just have them. So
We are winging it.
However, this first segment has nothing to do with teleprompters. It's called The Good Stuff because it's just all the miniature stories, the not as
No, it is important.
they are important, but they're not as controversial. Maybe
Yeah.
they're not as fun to make fun of the government kind of stories.
It's just a blah.
Yeah. So let's start with our bumper on The Good Stuff. So the first story that we're going to go over, well, actually Johnny's going to bring it to us. It's about the roundtable discussion that will be happening this Thursday. Thanks to Senator Therese Terlahi. She sent a letter to Speaker Tina Mooney Barnes and the rest of the senators describing the 3 hearings that she's going to be having and some more details on it. So let's hear
And this is what we were talking about last night.
Yeah.
We were wondering what the 3 meetings were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what they were going to entail and who's invited. I know everybody's invited, but certain meetings are for certain areas of the medical malpractice arbitration law. So, Hafaday Speaker Munir Barnes and colleagues, as chairperson of the Legislature's Committee on Health, I invite you to participate in a series of informational hearings as part of the committee's efforts to examine Guam's Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act. The goal of the first hearing on September 19 at 2 p.m., that is this Thursday, is to present senators and the public with basic background of the malpractice law and prior cases interpreting the said law. I have invited the Attorney General of Guam to briefly discuss and distinguish the law governing claims against the government and government health professionals. I have invited Attorney Mitch Thompson, who represents several providers, including 7-Day Adventist Clinic, to present an overview of Guam's Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act and a few of the relevant past cases. To accommodate for any differing interpretation or caution regarding the law or the cases, I am also inviting input from those lawyers who affirmatively responded to the Guam Bar Association's call out for lawyers interested in assisting the Guam legislature with examination of Guam's Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act. Senators will be allowed to ask questions of the panel following the presentation of any testimony. Following the information from the lawyers, there will be an opportunity at the first hearing for a limited number of patients or the general public to comment. Health professionals will be invited to a second hearing on October 3rd, 2019 at 5 p.m. to focus on the impacts of the current law on their practice, on whether the law ensures the appropriate standard of care on Guam, and the impacts of the law on the availability of qualified health professionals. I have invited the heads of the Guam Medical Association and the Guam Medical Society to lead the health professionals panel. The second hearing will also allow limited testimony from patients and the general public. Following the second hearing, I am extending an open invitation to the legal and health professionals, along with the public, to submit suggestions for reform or arguments against reform, which will be more fully considered at a third hearing on November 7, 2019 at 2 p.m. The committee is particularly interested in input as to whether the law can be improved to better protect patients and to ensure an appropriate standard of care. The third hearing will also allow testimony from patients and the general public. These hearings are for informational purposes only, to allow senators to hear suggestions and make inquiry towards formulation of legislation. Note that as of today, no bill has been introduced during this legislative term to revise the current Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act. A separate public hearing is still required on any bill that might be introduced to specifically amend the law. The above described schedule is subject to change, especially if a bill is introduced or if the legislative session is scheduled during these times. Sincerely, Therese M. Terlahi.
Which it sounds like a very organized effort, and it sounds like very thoughtfully laid out. I just wish, and maybe, I understand there are people who go to the legislature and just sprout off, and maybe they just like to hear themselves talk or whatever. So maybe that's why they're talking about limited patient and general public input or whatever. But
I think after everybody I think this is great because the first two meetings are going to be fact based, right?
Well, we would hope.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fact based, and then the general public is going to be the third meeting because by then we should be able to understand.
I think that's what she's trying to do.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
bravo.
Yeah. Good job, Senator Shalahi. Great job. Of course,
Yes.
like almost everything she does, we're like, we love you.
Yeah. Almost stalker status.
Not like single white female bathroom scene.
Yeah. No.
So, this is great news all around. The very first hearing is this Thursday at what time? 2 p.m.
Yes.
At the public hearing room at the Guam Congress Building. That's the one right across from the cathedral. If you're able to go, please do and show your support for the repeal of the Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act in support of Mr. Lebowski, Twyla Taidagui, Monica De Vera, and all others who are in this fight, not because they're trying to save their children, because they've lost their children already. They're trying to save your children. That's why they're fighting for this.
Troy, there's also some concern. I can't really talk about the case, but there's parents who have come forward who's currently being mistreated.
Wow.
So I would want them to come, and
Can you encourage them to go to the hearing?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. I did speak with a senator who asked to remain anonymous, at least for now,
Okay.
who brought up a very good point about something. This senator said that, I'll tell you afterward. This senator said that that this senator believes there are some doctors who will come with the argument that if you repeal this Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act, then we're going to leave off island. And there's a point here that this senator makes,
So
is
go.
that Guam has the strictest, Guam has the there's no other state or jurisdiction in the United States that has a malpractice act like we do.
Of course.
So, like, it is easiest for a bad doctor to practice here than it is
Right.
anywhere else in the nation. So, by that standard, everywhere else in the nation is more strict on these doctors. So, if we change our Medical Malpractice Act and they're saying they're going to leave to what? Leave to another jurisdiction where it's
Where you
even
can't
harder?
practice,
You're gonna leave.
and they're not even gonna accept you.
because
Goodbye.
because you're a bad doctor.
Right.
And so good riddance.
Yes.
Good riddance if you're a bad doctor. We don't want you on Guam. We don't need you cutting up our people and leaving scissors inside.
Or not sewing up their intestine, and then they get sick.
Who was that mother that they cut her? They cut her kidney, or they cut her
cut
stomach,
something.
or her liver, or something, diaphragm after she gave birth through cesarean.
Yes.
My goodness. I wish we could know the names of these quack doctors. So anyway, there's that story, and then there was the story.
Oh. The governor was busy on Friday. Troy,
Oh yeah? Where was
Yeah.
she?
she was signing executive orders.
Okay.
One it says, pursuant to Public Law 34-16, transmitted herewith is the following executive order. Executive Order 2019-22, relative to the initiative to include the Philippines to the Guam CNMI visa waiver and the H-2A and the H-2B non-immigrant worker programs.
So this is the Philippine.
Yes.
Okay, this is to open up the Philippines to more travel for work. What's H2A? Is that for? Is that
Maybe
like
nurses?
a travel? Oh, like professional licenses?
I
or
think
something?
so.
No, that's H1.
Okay,
But
I don't know.
I've never heard of H2A before. Just H2B. Anyway, maybe it's the travel one.
Okay, maybe it'll be here.
Yeah. No
It-
idea.
There's countries, the 12 countries that are currently participating is Australia, Hong Kong, Brunei, Japan, Malaysia, Nauru, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, South Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, and United Kingdom. It's just to waive their. It doesn't say.
Was it the resolve clause?
Okay, so the resolve clause says that one, the chief advisor for Guam EDNIA shall research and develop a strategy to assist in the inclusion of the Philippines as an eligible country to the H2A and the H2B non-immigrant worker program and as a member country of the Guam CNMI waiver program.
The chief advisor for Guam economic development and blah blah blah. That's former Governor Carl Gutierrez.
Yes.
Okay.
In doing so, the chief advisor for Guam may work with participating governments and to ensure alignment and support for any requests to the U.S. Secretary of State and U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security.
Okay.
B, work with volunteer members of the community and seek their expertise and resources.
Okay. What else?
And C, with the written approval of the governor, consult with outside experts and retain the services of such experts/advisors or consultants as necessary in performance of his duties.
Is there anything else?
D, utilize the assistance of all departments and agencies of the government of Guam who are hereby directed to provide as much resources and assistance as possible. Number 3, the chief advisor shall submit a report with recommendations and supporting documents to the governor of Guam by March 1st, 2020. Signed and proclamated at Hagåtña, Guam, the 16th day. Oh, that was today.
Chalo, so
What is this?
it is absolutely nothing.
No, honest. Be
I
honest.
swear to God. It
For reals
does-
this time.
For reals, it does absolutely nothing. This
Because
executive
that's his
order-
job, right? He's supposed to be
That's
doing
already
this.
his job, and
he's
he-
doing it already, right?
Yes, and he works for her in an unclassified, politically appointed position. So this was a dog and pony show. That's all that is. It's putting on. They're just trying to have another media event about it, but that's his job.
Already.
And they even had to put. They're even restricting his job because they say with the written permission of the governor. That's like, Miss, can I go to the bathroom? You know, like. That what a waste of time and paper that this administration is. Anyway, we have two big stories to bring you in our next segment. Guput Gabini. I was gonna bring you the YouTube of the legislature's public hearing today regarding Senator Will Castro's bill to codify the Office of Homeland Security in the law rather than.
I don't
executive
understand
order.
that. I thought Office of Homeland Security exists already.
It exists right now under the authority of an executive order issued by Governor Felix Camacho in, I believe, 2004.
So Homeland Security is not the federal government. Homeland Security.
So every state and territory has its own Office of Homeland Security, and it was created shortly after the war in Iraq started, or somewhere thereabouts. Right after President Bush created, or in Congress created, the Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. So before, the president's national security advisor used to be in charge of whatever, and that was a position within the White House. And then the President Bush lumped in all of these different functions throughout the government and created new functions and put everything under immigration and customs enforcement, border patrol.
It's almost like a task force.
Created TSA. They put all of it under one umbrella, Department of Homeland Security, run by the Secretary of Homeland Security. For Guam, the equivalent is a Homeland Security advisor, a local Homeland Security advisor, under what Governor Camacho put it under an Office of Homeland Security, which was kind of like side by side with the Office of Civil Defense, which had always existed, right? With an administrator. And so there've been kind of like two people in charge of this place. And sometimes there was like overlapping jurisdiction. So there has been a Homeland Security advisor and an administrator for civil defense. Now that administrator is a classified position. Chuck Esteves holds that position. And the person who's supposed to be on top of this entire organization is the Homeland Security advisor, which is a cabinet level position and should be confirmed by the legislature. That's one of the things it does, but it also modernizes the laws to accept things like
Dengue? To help with dengue?
we'll get to that.
Okay.
To help with things like remember how like people were always hacking our stuff, like stuff like that. What do they call that? Something security, like whatever it's called.
Okay.
But because we have a couple of big stories, we don't have to listen to what happened in the legislature. If you want to hear that boringness, it's on the Guam Legislature's media channel on YouTube, and it's the hearing from this morning conducted by Senator Clint Richell. So we're gonna take a smoke break, and when we come back, we'll get to Guput Gupetnu and the main stories of the day.
I find no issue with it because, I just got back from the state auditors conference and my jaw dropped because the average salary right now that all state auditors are paying is $50,000. I asked this question, I said, what? Straight out of college, no experience, $50,000. Most of their management team are upwards of $100,000. And
but once that $50,000 salary
I
straight
don't
up,
know why we're
let's-
paying that. I think it's worth it.
the additional bonus on top of the increase that you're now getting because you managed to get through the legislature are concurrence that we're going to adopt the Kerry study. And for the office with the 10 employees that you have or whatever number you have, You need 60,000 for the certification or pay, or is that's in the event somebody else gets
No, that's already funded. That's already funded. That's already in our, yeah, that's, if you turn to the schedule, we're talking 60,264 is the certification pay for 1, 2, 3, 6 individuals.
Okay. I have nothing further. We stand in recess until...
Mr. Speaker, if I just may say, you and I both are very passionate. And I'll miss this exchange. Thank you.
I will need an additional $70,000 just to pay for the certification pay for those on my staff that are qualified. It wasn't in my budget request because I didn't ask for it. But if this legislature is going to leave it in the budget, then I will have to comply and provide them with their certification adjustment, and that would cost the office an additional $70,000. So I just point that out. But I can't tell you how wonderful the 5 Auditor 3s that stepped up to take over the management team of the office has been, and how smoothly it has run since then. They've taken over, and I feel so bad that they can't get one. We can't reclassify 3 of them, 4 of them. I mean, because everything, all promotions and increments were suspended during the fiscal year. So I can't do any reclassifications and give them increments as minuscule as it is by comparison. But it is the Office of Public Accountability, and we have to live within the law, and we will live within the law. And if it is provided to us, we'll provide it to them. If it's not, then we'll have to tell them that it's not going to be provided.
Tens of millions of dollars in money that could be paying for tax refunds are still sitting at the Bank of Guam. As of this afternoon, the Department of Administration Division of Accounts has not yet processed any new tax refunds. DOA Financial Manager Goody Rosario confirmed in a phone interview with Troy Torres that the $69 million in Section 30 money, which arrived last Thursday, has not been released by his division. The release is pending the governor's approval. Mr. Rosario also provided an update on the legal set-aside of more than $23 million of the total $69 million. According to him, some $21 million in Section 30 money will be used to pay the annual debt service for the 2016 Series C's bonds. Another $2.3 million has been earmarked to pay the annual school maintenance costs for Ukadu High School. That cost is paid to Guam Educational Facilities Foundation through its certificate of participation as the developer of the school. Here's the excerpt of this morning's interview with Mr. Rosario.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, may I speak with Goody Rosario, please?
Yeah, this is he.
Hi, Goody. This is Troy Torres.
Yes, I tried.
Hi, how are you?
I'm sick. I've been sick.
You're sick? Oh, yeah, I just got over that. For 2 weeks, I was sick. I had to go to the doctor.
Yeah, it's been a week for me, so I'm planning on going to the...
When I went in, I found out I had bronchitis. I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
I know that could lead to worse things.
Yep, hopefully you.
I hope so. I hope you feel better because I'm talking to you on the phone.
Okay. How can I help you?
Vinny, is DOA scheduled to send out a major batch of tax refunds this week?
Oh, that I need to find out from my director on what's the administration's plan.
But the money,
uh,
you guys are sitting on a wad of cash, right?
I'm sorry.
You guys are sitting on a wad of cash.
Yeah, we just received that at Friday or Thursday. Yeah, we received the
The Section 30 money.
money at Thursday. The director just came in today, so definitely, actually we have a 11 o'clock meeting, so definitely we'll find out.
Has any of the Section 30 money been spent?
I'm sorry?
Has any of the Section 30 money been spent already? Has any of it been dispersed?
No, it's still sitting on the trust account right now, and then once there's an order to pay the tax refund, that moves to the general fund account for expedite.
It's sitting in the trust account.
Yeah, the Section 30 trust account.
Oh, it's a Bank of Guam trust account. Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
It's a savings account, huh?
I believe so, yeah.
So it's accruing interest. That's about $69 million, right? That Interior
No,
dispersed?
the 69 is the gross amount, less, of course, less the debt service and the what do you call this? The school maintenance contract. Yeah. So the net is about 46 million.
Net is 46 million. How much in debt service and for which bonds?
Hold on. I'm trying to open the later.
Okay.
Okay, it's the debt service series 2016A bond.
Okay.
That's rounded off 21 million.
Oh, that's just one bond, huh?
Yeah.
Is that a tax refund? What bond is that?
Uh,
Oh, that's the refinancing bond.
yeah. And then the 2.9 million, the Guam Education Financing Foundation to the certificate of participation. I think this is the Okodo bond thing, I think.
That's for school maintenance, right?
That's correct, yes.
How come that's not being funded by compact impact funds?
I have no idea.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. That's for the legislature to ask them. I thought that was compact impact funds. Or maybe I'll ask. Is Art Mariano still at BBMR? Do you know?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
I'll probably ask Art that then.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Goody. I appreciate your time. Yeah, and
Welcome.
please take care of that.
These payments leave only 46 million remaining. Whether the governor will use the balance to pay tax refunds has yet to be answered by the governor's office or fiscal team. In the series of live calls Kandit made this morning to members of the governor's fiscal team and her communication staff, only Mr. Rosario from DOA and 2 other technical staff from Bureau of Budget Management and Research and the Department of Revenue and Taxation answered our questions. According to staff from DRT, the agency currently is processing tax returns filed on April 15. As of the latest tax refunds report, only 25,000 out of an estimated 70,000 tax refunds have been paid out. The administration only has reached the February 21st filing date as of its latest distribution. Prior to any more 2018 tax refunds being paid, however, the administration must pay another $17 million in refunds for prior years that recently were claimed. That leaves only $29 million in Section 30 balance left over to pay for refunds. At an average of around $2,500 per tax refund, the leftover Section 30 money will pay for only another 11,600 tax refunds. It is unclear how many tax refunds were claimed between February 22nd and April 15. One thing is clear, though. The $29 million balance of Section 30 funds leaves the Leon Guerrero administration far behind the amount needed to pay all tax refunds now.
Want to talk about it?
Yes.
Well, I think people want some. Look at all those angry. Look at all the angriness.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of angry. Wow, it's still going.
And I was asking Troy during the break, how much does this earn in interest? And according to Troy, and Troy's a very smart man, it is not about the interest, it's about their portfolio and allowing them to be able to let people borrow more money.
When you say them, you mean the Bank of Guam, the governor's bank.
Yes, the governor's bank.
It's not it's not the people's bank.
No.
It's the governor's bank.
Yes.
It's just to be sure.
Yes.
So Chella, the longer a wad of cash like that spends in a bank, the better its ability to lend money, and which is how banks primarily make money. Of course, they don't pay no GRT on that. You know what I mean? So, but I think what is just on people's minds is, when is my tax refund coming? And the fact that they're sitting on the money is heartless.
The previous administrations, just Calvo, right? Because everybody else took time to pay it, even with Section 30 money coming. Correct?
Yeah, it was years behind.
I remember.
Before
I
Governor
remember
Calvo.
this.
Yeah.
I've been working since I was 16 years old. I remember even growing up and working at that young.
Forever.
Yeah, like 9 years later, my mom was the one that received all the tax refunds.
Wow.
For because I had kids young, but this the Calvo administration, I remember, the moment that check comes, boom, the following week, the couple of days later, everybody gets their money.
Oh, because they want you to go to Payless. No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. Whenever there was a wad of cash in
He
the
made
Calvo
sure that
administration,
the
it
people
went.
at Revenue and Tax were working overtime, getting those refunds processed. I remember this. I
Yeah.
remember it clearly.
Thank you for remembering some of our work, because
Yeah.
it was hard work.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. Obviously, this is not the priority to Governor Leon Guerrero that it was to
Well,
Governor
I
Calvo.
want to know what the fuck the priority is, because after this weekend, I'm at a loss.
I know. Merry Christmas from the governor.
For free.
Dengue for free.
Dengue.
Everyone gets dengue. Compliments of Santa Claus, Leon Guerrero. So, okay, so according to your story, we still don't know how much. Well, we don't know how many tax refunds are between February 22 and April 15, and they only are processing April 15 as of today.
Yeah.
So, holy
Anybody
cow.
that filed after April 15, it's
They're
not
not
processed
even there
yet.
yet. They're not.
Yeah.
But I don't even think they're done with April 15. They're just working on it today, and that's got to be a lot.
That's because they're too busy going out bothering the vape shops, these small business owners, instead of going after the people who owe $15 million. You know what? Going after the people who owe $15 million in taxes, and then allowing those other business owners, major business owners, to skirt on their taxes.
Yeah. All the while not paying the tax refunds that are rightfully owed to people. It's not the government's money. Let's just be clear about that. The government borrowed this money from you throughout all of last year. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you made that claim, you were supposed to have been paid it. And that's what Congressman Mike Nicholas wants to force Gov Guam to do, And it's sad that it has to be forced that way, and that we have to have this notion that we're losing some sort of self-government. But I think the congressman has a point. We already gave up our notion of self-government when we couldn't govern ourselves to do this ourselves.
Right. And another way to stick it to this government, because apparently our voice doesn't matter, and when you go to your work tomorrow or this week, go into your HR office or the person that handles your checks, right? What do they call it? Your CFO.
Your payroll.
Your payroll people.
Yeah.
Change your
W-2?
what is it called, Brim?
W-4?
W-4. It's your W-4. Change your exemptions. If you have 2 children, it's you and your 2 children, so you should at least have 3 exemptions. And then there's more exemptions if you're married, if you're head of household. There's other ones. But just to be on the safe side, just you and your children and your wife, if you're married. So that instead of taking so much money out of your paychecks from every payday, it goes into your pocket and not the government's pocket.
Or the Bank of Guam's
Or
pocket.
the Bank of Guam's pocket. So what happens there is maybe your refund will be a little less at the end of the year, but you get that money in your own pocket every 2 weeks instead of Bank of Guam.
Oh, and just so you know, I don't think I told you, but we have not received any reply from any member of the governor's fiscal team since we sent out those questions Friday.
Yeah, I read that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was part of the
That's part of the
story.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Oh,
I'm on top of it.
Thanks. All right, let's move on to our next story. The patient infected with the dengue virus is not under quarantine. Governor spokesman Crystal Paco confirmed with Kandit that the government's crisis response team has not even considered quarantine, even though she admits the possibility that the patient's exposure to the dengue-capable mosquito means that more people can be infected. After a whirlwind day for the residents of Chalampago, Ordot, and Manilao, who have tried to frustration to get answers from their government, Ms. Paco finally provided information regarding both the patient and ground zero for the potential spread of infection. The patient is a student of Agata Johnson Middle School and lives in Manilao in an area nearby Payless Supermarket. Ms. Paco confirms that a contractor has followed a team of nurses and others from the Department of Public Health and Social Services to the area or to the residence of this young person and their family, and to 82 homes in a vicinity that with a radius that amounts to about 200 meters. Now, in researching and when we asked Crystal Paco, we asked Ms. Paco, why 200 meters? She said she didn't know. But when we did our research about these mosquitoes, because we asked her, is this the range that the mosquitoes can fly? There are 2 types of mosquitoes that are capable of carrying I almost called it Zika, the dengue virus. One is the Aedes aegypti, which is not the mosquito that we have. The mosquito that you see on the screen right now is what we have. You've seen this. You guys have seen this mosquito. This is the Asian tiger mosquito. This is the mosquito that is capable of carrying the dengue virus. This is the mosquito that has been on Guam for a little bit, according to the Department of Public Health, Division of Environmental Health, Vector Control Unit. They're the ones with the $1 million federally funded mosquito lab, and they're the ones who understood that this mosquito, while 3 weeks ago was not carrying the dengue virus inside of it, now that's changed. At least one of these mosquitoes carried the dengue virus and infected a resident of Manilao in an area near Payless Supermarkets. Now, at the time, and Kandit broke this story for you because we were very much frustrated with the territorial epidemiologist, Dr. Ann Pobutsky, for ignoring concerns that this mosquito could land on the traveler who was suspected 3 weeks ago of having dengue, and then it was confirmed a couple days later that this mosquito would land on that person who was not in quarantine pick the virus up and then transmit it to someone locally, lay eggs, bear new mosquitoes that would carry the virus, and then we would be in a world of trouble. And so now the Department of Public Health is sending people out into this vicinity, 200 meters, a 200-meter radius from its ground zero, because that's how far this Asian tiger mosquito is able to fly. We know it's the Asian tiger, and we know that that 200 meters is because of the Asian tiger, because the Aegis aegypti, which we don't have on Guam, has a flying radius of 400 meters. So this process of elimination, that's how we got to that non-rocket science. Now, there is a discrepancy in how the Department of Public Health has been handling the situation and providing information to the public. And it's not just public health, it's also the Department of Education, which in a very strangely worded news release last night, informing the public of the the spraying of insecticide at Agata Johnston and at Ordot Chalampago Elementary School, made it sound like it was some sort of standard fumigation, or that the administrators and the teachers were going to have parent-teacher conference last minute. They never once said in the news release that it had to do with the dengue virus. They also said in the news release that the residents within a certain radius, their homes would be available to be fumigated if they so wished or so desired. They never said anything about those homes being in Manila. So throughout the entire day, throughout social media, throughout WhatsApp, in messages that we at Kandit were getting, in messages that other media stations were getting, there was a panic among residents of Ordot and Chalampago, because Agata Johnson and OCPES are Chalampago, are their Ordot schools. And so there was a great panic among the residents there, wondering what's going on. Come to find out, confirmed later on in the afternoon, that the ground zero was actually in Manila, and the reason they had to fumigate or spray or whatever Agata Johnson was because the kid is the patient is a student at Agata Johnson, and the reason they had to spray OCPES is because it's in the vicinity. So if the student was going to school at Agata Johnson, and a mosquito, that Asian tiger mosquito bit the kid while he was at school, it could have transferred over, it could have flown over to Ordot Chalampago Elementary School as well. So the information changed very quickly from last night to this morning to this afternoon to this evening. Let's play the first phone call interview we had with Jenna Blas, who is the spokeswoman for the Office of Civil Defense and Homeland Security, when we were trying to get answers this morning regarding this dengue situation. My show, I got some questions regarding dengue.
Hey, Troy, I'm sorry. You know what? There's a representative from Public Health for Epidemiologists who has prepared to take any the media on dengue. On a press release that was issued yesterday, her number is listed on the way bottom. Do you have that now?
Yeah, I have the number, but the epidemiologist has not returned our calls.
Okay, not a problem. Is this your number that she can reach you at?
Yes, and this is. Okay. And would the epidemiologist know things regarding the shutdown of Agata Johnson and OCPES?
You know, I've got a point of contact from Public Health that'll be able to reach out to you.
Is there not a single point of contact when the Joint Information Center is activated?
There is, and the number that was listed there is supposed to be a 24/7 number. I'm going to go find out exactly what's going on with that number now.
Yeah, but if that person should be able to answer.
I agree, Troy, and all I'm asking now is just for a few minutes. That way we can finalize a point of contact that can reach out to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
So this morning, the spokeswoman for Civil Defense, who is the public information officer, and during times of the activation of a crisis like this, is supposed to be the single point of contact. For some reason, she was not made the single point of contact for this, so she couldn't provide us any answers. She referred us to Dr. Ann Pobutsky, who, yes, is at the bottom of that news release as the single point of contact, but Dr. Ann Pobutsky is not answering any phone calls. She's also the person who made the decision not to quarantine that traveler 3 weeks ago. The decision also belonged to the Director of Public Health, Linda DeNorsi. So I want to take you through a little timeline that shows just how ridiculous this entire thing is. On August 19, Public Health issued a news release of suspected dengue, saying it was imported from Yap and saying that they're awaiting some lab results. On August 20, that was when Kandit made the inquiry to Public Health about whether that patient had been quarantined to prevent the mosquito that we have that is capable of carrying the dengue from actually carrying dengue and then transmitting it to other people. That's when Dr. Ann Pobotsky wrote back to us and said, there is no need to quarantine someone whose case had not been confirmed. On August 23, in an article, in a PDN article, Public Health says that the August 19 case was not dengue fever. There's a quote from Linda DeNorsi who says the Department of Public Health and Social Services got results back for a suspected case of dengue fever, which turned out to be negative. But then that was a Friday. That's August 23. By Tuesday, Public Health issued another release confirming a second case of imported dengue fever from Yap. In between Friday and Tuesday, Public Health never confirmed that there was a first case that was confirmed. They said that the first case was negative, but somehow that story changed and they never sent out a news release about it. So were there 3 suspected cases of dengue and 2 of them ended up being confirmed and things moved just so quickly that they weren't able to tell us about the second suspected case, which ended up very quickly becoming confirmed? Or did they lie about the first one? Did they lie that it was negative? And it was really positive because on August 27, Tuesday, right after saying that on Friday that first case was negative, now they're saying there were two confirmed cases of dengue. And you know what is completely retarded about, and to talk about irony in an entire situation, is the day of the news of the first suspected case of dengue was National Mosquito Day. Yeah, I'm not lying. It was National Mosquito. There was a proclamation and everything celebrating the mosquitoes. Good job. Good job, Governor. Good fucking job. You are like a beacon of light in this dark world, attracting all the goddamn fucking mosquitoes to this island. Now it gets worse. This whole situation gets worse. Public Health also issued, they issued a news release about, or a fact sheet on September 12th. This is just 4 days ago. Just 4 days ago, telling us that there's no vaccine for dengue. Well, we caught them in a lie, and let me play the breaking news live stream that we had earlier today. This was around, what time would you think this was? 5 p.m., Chelo?
6 hours ago.
6 hours ago? Let's just... Oh, don't mind the porn music. Hold on. Go ahead and capture my screen. On there, September 12th. Can you post that on the screen, Eric, so people can see? It's the fact sheet, yes, the one that says that there is no. Oh, sorry. More information about. Okay, here we go. This is for real. We just have some breaking news to give to you, and then I'll get off camera and start preparing for tonight's show, where we'll bring you even more information about the dengue outbreak on our island. The Department of Public Health and Social Services, its director, Linda DeNorsi, sent out a release. Or an informational thing. Can you post that on the screen, Eric, so people can see? It's the fact sheet, yes, the one that says that there is no vaccine for dengue. So all you can see on there, September 12th, updated dengue fever fact sheet for Guam. In the highlighted area, it says, while there is no vaccine for dengue fever, the people of Guam should be vigilant, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're not telling the truth, and I don't know why they're not telling the truth, and this is not the only thing they're not telling the truth about it. When I say they, I mean the government of Guam. Can you go to the next? sheet. This is from the Centers for Disease Control. The vaccine, called Dengvaxia, is aimed at helping children in Puerto Rico and other U.S. territories where dengue is a problem. The Food and Drug Administration recently approved this vaccine. It was approved. I have another document to show you on May 2nd, 2019. Why our epidemiologists or our director of public health are saying that there is no dengue vaccine is beyond me. There's a vaccine, and not only is there a vaccine, but it was developed specifically because of the territories for Guam, for kids. This is for kids between the ages of 9 and 16, and by some accounts, though we have not been able to verify these accounts, it's a wild, wild west of information in the government of Guam right now regarding this dengue outbreak, because nobody's saying anything of any value about the dengue outbreak. Oh, here we go. Dengue vaccine. Globally, a vaccine to prevent dengue is licensed and available in some countries for people ages 9 to 45 years old. The World Health Organization recommends that the vaccine only be given to persons with confirmed prior dengue virus infection. The vaccine manufacturer, see, it's all there. In May 2019, Dengvaxia was approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration in the United States for use in children 9 to 16 years old living in an area where dengue is common. The U.S. territories of American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands with laboratory-confirmed prior dengue virus infection. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, last reviewed, May 3, 2019. Centers for Disease Control. So let's ask our government what the hell's going on.
Okay, this is Jenna.
Hi, Jenna. This is Troy Torres again. I'm live with our audience on breaking news that there, apparently according to the Centers for Disease Control, there is a vaccine for dengue fever. Yet information put out by the government is saying that there's no vaccine for dengue. Is there a reason for the disparity in information?
That's correct. We did receive notification that there is in fact and that's not available from right at this time. They're working on verifying this information and issuing a press release shortly. It's going to be coming out in the next couple of minutes.
Okay, so you said that the vaccine's not available on Guam yet?
Unfortunately, I don't have the exact details on where the vaccine is or why it isn't available, and I'm working with public health right now.
Do you know why public health put out the wrong information recently?
According to public health, they did not say that there was no vaccination.
Oh yes, it's in their fact sheet. It's in the fact sheet that was disseminated.
Okay, understood, Troy. Apologies for that confusion, and we're trying to standardize our messaging now. So as soon as we have that corrected information, we should include that in our press release.
Jenna, there's a lot of worried people, especially parents, but more so, there's a whole lot of worried people in both Ordot, Chalampago, and Manilao, because the information coming out of the Joint Information Center, it's not enough for people to understand what's going on. So where is ground zero?
We understand. So we are aware and tracking all of these unverified social media posts and even the messages that are identifying Ordot, Chalampago as ground zero. So at this time, no determination has been made to the origin of where exactly this has happened. Of course, there is a confirmed case, a confirmed person who has contracted dengue. Unfortunately, there's no identification at this time of where exactly that is.
Is the person a resident of Manilao or Ordot or Chalampago?
So the person is a resident of Manilao, and that's why the activities for the 200-meter radius of the homes that are around that area are also being sprayed.
But, okay, so Agata Johnson and Ordot Chalampago Elementary School are far outside the 200-meter radius. What is the reason for the fumigation of Agata Johnson and Ordot Chalampago? Is the infected person a student or a teacher or somehow a worker at both schools?
I won't be able to disclose exactly if this person is a student or a teacher, but I do know that the Department of Public Health has identified those locations, and they are part of their vector control efforts to mitigate the spread.
Is someone going to provide an answer to that? Because there's a lot of people wondering what's going on.
Yeah, I understand. We are receiving a lot of calls, and we're trying really hard to streamline our messaging right now. Of course, the Joint Information Center is working to assist Department of Public Health with issuing all of the verified information. We are working with them to have certified and the proper people be able to address all of these technical issues when it comes to dengue.
Is it possible? Can people who live in these areas, if they're concerned, especially if they have compromised immune systems, can they go to their doctor and ask for? I think it's called Dengfavix or something. It's whatever that dengue vaccine is.
But again, this time it's not. We don't have that vaccination on swab. But there has been a physician's alert that's been disseminated. So the medical professionals are aware and they are tracking and they are prepared to see exactly what the symptoms are and be able to alert the proper authorities if there is a person who goes to their clinic with the symptoms.
Is there a reason that the government of Guam didn't order the vaccine 3 weeks ago when there was a suspected case of dengue on the island?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have the answer at this time, but again, we are working to streamline all of our messaging. We do have a release that's coming out shortly. We'll be able to provide as much information as we can.
Is the governor on Guam?
I won't be able to answer that. I believe so.
Has the governor been to civil defense to command the response on this?
I'm sorry?
Has the governor been to civil defense since last night to command this incident?
I won't be able to speak on behalf of the governor. I know I have been out of the office at different workshops, also working with Department of Public Health, but I can definitely check on that.
Yeah, just, if you can just tell us whether the governor has been present at all at the Emergency Operations Center regarding this crisis.
Okay, well, again, our Emergency Operations Center has not been fully activated. The Department of Public Health has stood up their incident command, and the Joint Information Center is definitely trying to assist the Department of Public Health get information out. We're working on that now, so I know you're on our distribution list, so we'll be sure to put out information shortly.
Thank you. Where is the incident command, by the way?
Department of Public Health.
It's at the Department of Public Health in Manila.
Yes, they have their own incident command center.
Okay, and one last question, Jenna. In what general area of Manila is this person a resident?
Unfortunately, I don't have that exact location. But again, this has been determined by the Department of Public Health. We're working closely with the Manila mayor and doctor to get all the information out to the residents that are located within that area.
And just some messages that are coming in very quickly on Facebook and an email and my phone is that there are a bunch of residents in Ordat, Chalampago, and Manila who have not been informed of anything by the government regarding any fumigation.
We have been tracking this thing, but again, there has been no determination made on the exact location of the supposed ground zero.
Okay, so that was... Oh, no, I'm just mentioning that because the release last night... That was earlier. Residents will be asked if they can have their homes fumigated inside and out. But what I'm letting you know is that there are some residents... Computer's cramping my style. That was earlier, and then tonight, sometime around 4:45 p.m., Crystal Paco, the governor's acting director of communications, gave us a call and provided us with some breaking news about who the patient was, not the name, but that the patient was an Agata Johnson student, that the patient lives in Manila near Payless, and that the patient was not under quarantine. Let's take a look at that video right now. Okay, so is the governor on Guam?
Yeah. She leaves next week. For quite a few trips. Throughout the U.S., Vegas is one of them, D.C.
Has the governor been to the Emergency Operations Center or the Joint Information Center since last night on this dengue thing?
She hasn't been here. I'm her proxy. I am the one myself and Director Linda Ginorsi. We're keeping her abreast of all the new updates. She's been updated every single way.
But she is not herself commanding this
Well,
situation.
I would say that, we're not even, this is not a typical jig that we're used to. Like, I know you've been in the jig. We're actually operating out of public health, and we're only partially activated at this point.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we're actually operating out of public health, so our briefings have been at public health. And we don't have all the same capabilities that we do at Homeland.
Sure. Is the governor concerned about the massive confusion in the community, most especially among the residents of Orda, Chalampago, and Manilao?
And most definitely, and I think there was a lot of confusion this morning. We're trying to clarify everything. I know that there's a post right going around. I received it on social media. It was on WhatsApp. It was forwarded to me relative to Orda Chalampago being ground zero, and that is most definitely inaccurate. And you know, as a media professional, that social media is your friend. It's also your worst enemy, disseminating false news, fake news. So that's why we are reminding people in our joint information release number 2, the first paragraph is relative to fake news, and that all information relative to dengue fever is going to come out of CHIC, Joint Information Center.
And I think that whoever posted that out may have assumed that because of the information that came out of both Civil Defense and the Department of Education, which marked 2 schools in Chalampago as being targets for fumigation, and it also said that homes within a certain radius.
Definitely, okay.
So
First off, it's not a fumigation, it's a spraying. Fumigation is a methodology. You have to talk to someone with more technical expertise, but I assure you the proper...
Okay, they're gonna spray insecticide to kill the mosquitoes.
Yes, that is correct. And so much like we kind of followed the TB protocol. So when someone contracts TB, we confirm a case. Say they go to their teacher or student at a school, we identify the school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're familiar with that protocol. So that's kind of the methodology we use. Okay, so we know that the individual who has a confirmed case attends Agata Johnston Middle School.
Okay.
And because of the proximity to Orda Chalampago, we wanted to cover both schools.
Okay, so it's not that there's a sibling or someone in the household who attends Orda Chalampago.
No, only one confirmed case, and the individual attends Agata Johnston.
And this person, so it's a student who lives in Manilao, because Janet told me that the person lives in Manilao but doesn't know exactly.
That is confirmed, and that is why the Manila Mayor's office is very involved. We could not do any of this without him, Mayor Alan Gupta. And so he's been with us every step of the way. He's committed all his resources. Today, several times today, he went to the affected area.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in TV, they identify the close contacts, and then they work from there, right?
Can you tell us whether the proximity or the vicinity that we're talking about in Manilao is near the area of Mariano Street and Kichuchu Street near Manilao Gardens?
Can you give me more landmarks? I'm sorry.
In the area near GW and UOG.
I would say farther. Actually, it's closer to public health, ironically.
So closer to nearer to FD.
Not on that side of the road, though.
So it's on the Payless side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on the Payless.
And so I can confirm that.
Okay.
But I can also confirm to you that our teams were mobilized today. Public health does have teams. They consist of nurses, and they're able to brief and help residents understand and ask them whether or not they want to have their homes sprayed. Again, this is a vector control. We don't want the spread. We don't want breeding mosquitoes.
Sure, understood.
And it's rainy season, so this is tough. I mean, the weather's not been in our favor. And so 82 homes were identified in a 200-meter radius.
Has that student been quarantined to prevent any more mosquitoes from biting him or her and then carrying the virus to other people?
I understand that public health has put the proper controls in place. I can't speak to the specifics, though.
So we do not know whether that student has been quarantined.
I haven't heard the keyword yet.
Okay.
I'm not numbered because dengue fever is not spread from person to person.
Sure, but the mosquito that is capable of carrying the virus, which we have on Guam, can bite the infected person and then transmit the virus that way, right?
And that's totally possible.
Yeah.
Totally possible, and that's why we have 2 teams. It's the one that's, working on the mosquito level, the mosquito control. So we have Tom Nadeau leading that effort, and he is, they're trying to find out, do we have this type of mosquito? And so far we've had negative results, negative findings. And then we have the teams that are being mobilized going out to the residents. Again, they're all neighbors. And so that is, that's our benefit, that they're all neighbors. So the teams were mobilized today, and I believe they're going to continue until the sun goes down today. But as of right now, right before I called you, 40 some homes were approached already. And again, this is on a volunteer basis. We can't force anybody to have their homes sprayed.
Yeah.
And it does take me, it's a we are asking a few things from the homeowner. It is free. It is free. This is allowed through, I know you're aware, executive order that allows the transfer authority.
Yeah.
Versus procurement. And
Yes.
so we're doing that process. It's free of charge to the homeowner. They do have to vacate their home for a short period of time.
Okay.
It's about a 3-hour safety window. The sprayings, though, are very, very quick. I mean, I can tell you that they did the whole campus. I believe Tom Nadeau provided that information this afternoon at our most recent briefing. I think that's when you called me. It took only a few hours to get the whole campus, and they were able to successfully do both indoors and outdoors. Thankfully, the rain held up today, and so the weather was definitely more conducive to spraying the schools.
How far? What's the reason for the 200-meter radius? Is it because that's how far a mosquito can travel?
I can't speak to that. Again, another technical question, but I know
Okay.
that that's what they identified as a high-risk area.
Okay. And lastly, Crystal, on the 12th, Public Health put out a fact sheet that said that no vaccine is currently exists against dengue, but then we found information from the CDC as of May 3rd this
Okay.
year that there is a
I
vaccine.
overheard the epidemiologist do another interview, actually, and they were able to clarify that there is a dengue vaccine, but it's not available to us according to the WHO standards. And it also would not be appropriate for Guam.
So according to the CDC though, that vaccine was specifically developed for Guam and American Samoa.
Okay.
Well-
So I would have to defer to the epidemiologist. It's a little
Okay.
too technical a question for me, but I just understand that it's not available to us at this moment. And
Well, the question that I do have, that was just the sort of head up.
Precursor for the question? Okay.
Yeah. The question is, why didn't the governor or public health order this vaccine 3 weeks ago when we had our first suspected case of dengue?
I don't have an answer for that.
Can
but I can get back to you.
can we get a statement on that, please?
So reiterate your question one more time. Why did we order the vaccine?
Why was it not ordered 3 weeks ago when the first suspected case of dengue was confirmed?
First suspect case. Okay.
Yeah.
I can get that for you.
Thank you.
Dengue was confirmed. Sorry I had to call you from public health.
No, that's
And they
fine.
were using my phone for another interview. Dengue was confirmed. Okay, I can get back to you. I have to defer to the experts, environmental health, and to public health and their epidemiologists.
Thank you very much.
Anything else?
No,
You're
that's
welcome.
that's good. Thank you. Thanks. So, let's parse this out. That interview with Crystal Paco, and we do thank her for providing. That was a lot of information that she did provide. It finally clarified many of the lingering questions that, well, sprouted since yesterday's 6:39 p.m. news from the Department of Education and Civil Defense about the spraying of insecticides at Agueda Johnson and at Ordot Chalampago Elementary School. So on that last part where we asked her if she can get a statement for us regarding why the vaccine was not ordered 3 weeks ago, here is a statement that she provided at 9:27 p.m. She says, "I was able to speak with the epidemiologist briefly relative to the vaccine you inquired about. I would prefer a direct quote from an expert, but in the interim, I wanted to let you know that the vaccine you were referring to is one from the World Health Organization. As I understand, this vaccine does not meet U.S. standards and is causing issues in the Philippines. I will work with the epidemiologist to get you an official response. Thank you for your patience." So, Crystal's half right. A vaccine was created that was causing some problems in the Philippines. And then, on May 3, 2019, the Centers for Disease Control, go ahead and cast back to my screen so people can see this. If you look at the bottom, content sources, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, National Center for Emerging and Zoonotic Infectious Diseases, Division of Vector-Borne Diseases. And in that second stanza here under dengue vaccine in the United States, very clearly says, in May 2019, Dengvaxia was approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration in the United States for use in children 9 to 16 years old living in an area where dengue is common, the U.S. territories. So our government does not have it together, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to report that. The other part that should concern us is this. While there was a rather belated, though I guess they made it just in time before the kids went back to school today. They stopped the kids from going to school at Agata Johnson and at Ordat Chalampago Elementary School in order to spray insecticide as of late this afternoon, according to sources within Father Duenas Memorial School. That school had not received any information about the proximity of this radius. They may actually be within the radius of Ground Zero, and they were not informed of anything. They were not offered to have any insecticide spraying at Father Duenas Memorial School. So that is a developing story on its own. And whether, if you are a parent of an FD boy, you may want to ask some questions before sending your kids to school tomorrow. And lastly, there is all of this. You may be wondering, how does the government affording the cost of all of this? They say it's not a fumigation, it's a spraying of insecticide. Well, for a 200-meter radius around Ground Zero in a heavily populated area like Mangilao, in the area near Payless supermarkets. I never go to Payless, but now I sure as hell wouldn't go to Payless in Mangilao. That's a lot of spraying to do, and so it costs a lot of money. So we were wondering, in any emergency activation, there is a need for resources that were never budgeted for. And so what any governor would do during an emergency activation, depending on the severity of the case and how much in resources need to be spent, the governor would declare an emergency. And the declaration of emergency isn't meant to alarm people. What it's meant to do is to allow the governor to spend money, to transfer money and to spend money. Normally it's sole source procurement. Sometimes they have time to do 3 quotes, but a lot of the times they have a booklet of vendors that they can go to for very specific things. And so we ended up finding this emergency declaration. It was sent to the legislature. Hold on, let me grab it.
Here. Or you want to put it up, right?
Yeah. Is it in our WhatsApp? Just so people
No,
can see
I
it.
opened it on messages and communications.
Okay, never mind. So an executive order was issued by the governor. It was transmitted September 16, that's today, to Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes, but it wasn't signed today. No, this executive order was issued on Friday, the 13th of September. The governor had already set the stage for the purchase of these services from the fumigation company or for the insecticide company or whatever on Friday. Didn't tell the schools until Sunday night, and didn't tell the public where this thing was happening, or that there was even a crisis outbreak, or that the Emergency Operations Center was partially activated until tonight. Yeah. Yet the governor, the lieutenant governor, and their staff, not even the Guam legislature, was made aware that an emergency declaration was made for this crisis on Friday the 13th. No, just the governor, the lieutenant governor, and their staff were made aware. And just so, in case any of you believe in conspiracy theories, if you go to Benson or Home Depot, you'll notice that the over-the-counter type of insecticide that they sell that could kill the Asian tiger virus, all of a sudden no longer is on the shelves. It was wiped out this weekend prior to anybody even knowing that there was this confirmed case, or that there was a crisis, and that this student was not in quarantine. So, I don't know, maybe the 100 employees of the governor's office wiped the shelves off. I'm not sure. We probably are not able to get the footage of who was buying the insecticide over at Benson at Home Depot, but there you have it. And
how does that feel?
So that's our story for the night.
How does that feel? I feel like a fucking second-class goddamn citizen.
That's what we are to this government.
It is the government's failure to keep the public informed that leads to rumors. Crisis communication involves rumor control, but it is stopped by effective and timely release of information. This weekend, Friday, we had the trash cleanup, the Guam Beautificaton Task Force. I went through Facebook. I went everywhere. I asked questions. Where the fuck is our governor? And why hasn't she addressed this? You know how she gets on that picture behind her and she sits there with her little pretty suits and she addresses the public about what she's going to do for the month, right? Mm-hmm. Where the fuck is she?
I don't know. Did you find her on Facebook?
Nothing.
Was she out this weekend?
Nothing.
Well, I bet you she was not in Manila.
And I guarantee you her grandkids made sure as hell shit didn't go anywhere either.
But the rest of us didn't know where Ground Zero was.
Nothing, Troy.
Was there a Doni festival in Manila
this
weekend?
Yes, there was.
Wow.
Nothing.
Wow.
I am pissed. I do not trust her. I do not trust. This is bullshit. She knew since Friday.
Yeah. She issued that executive
Troy,
order.
we only stumbled upon this because 2 agencies within the government of Guam gave out different information, and we discovered this Sunday night during our live.
Yeah. The bizarre news release from the Department of Education, and then the second one from Civil Defense. We're like,
Right.
wait. You were like, wait. Go back to that first news release.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you have it, Guam. This is how the governor of Guam is treating us. She ran away into her little den, not even the governor's house, because she doesn't live there, because it's being renovated.
Maybe that's why she hasn't been to Civil Defense
That
yet.
her and her staff was able to go over the. Okay, Kandit went today to buy pesticides. Okay? Because Troy gets really scared at things like this.
I hate bugs.
Okay? And according to the people at Benson and Home Depot, that specific pesticide was bought out this weekend.
Before anyone knew.
Before any of us could have a chance to fucking survive.
Yeah.
How are you going to take that? We didn't even get a chance. She didn't even give us a fucking chance.
I bet they're all stocked up though, with their pesticides or insecticides. I'm looking for the images that we had of what our governor and lieutenant governor were. While Rome is burning, Nero was playing her fiddle, right?
Let them eat cake.
So we have images of
It's here. Let me get it.
what our governor and lieutenant governor were doing as this crisis was developing. It's almost as though this is nothing to them. You have it? Oh, here you can cast on my screen, and I'll show you what Civil Defense was doing on Saturday the 14th. While they were not working on this whole dengue thing, they were talking about earthquakes. What a great way to spend Saturday morning to celebrate National Preparedness Month. Guam Homeland Security Office of Civil Defense and AmeriCorps visited the Guam Public Library to talk with parents and children about disaster preparedness. We even got to practice our earthquake drill together. Find out how you can prepare for all hazards at www.ghs.guam.gov. Nothing about dengue. Then, or the day before, on Saturday or on Friday, September 13, when the emergency declaration was sent, allowing for the sole source procurement of that insecticide sprayer. This is what Homeland Security was doing. These are the people who are supposed to be protecting us. The offices of Guam Homeland Security and Civil Defense will host 2 Incident Command System training opportunities at the Port Authority of Guam Training Room PD. The courses follow. Oh, this is where Jenna was, because she said she was in training. September 16th to the 18th, ICS 300 Intermediate, ICS for Expanding Incidents. Hey, I have a suggestion for the Office of Civil Defense. Why don't you guys get off your asses and deal with this dengue situation? Because the time for academics is over. This is the time for actual implementation of what you guys spend all of your year learning. Like, what the hell is going on here? And then
The
they also have
lieutenant
a t-shirt
governor,
conference or
right.
a t-shirt contest.
the lieutenant governor was at the pick up the trash thing on Friday, and then on Saturday there was some kind of ball. I'm
Is this the island? Let me go to that. Island-wide beautification. Let me spell it correctly.
I can't get into Josh's personal page because he blocked me because I kept tagging him in this bullshit.
Oh, so while check this out, while they were issuing this emergency declaration
Super
on
blocked.
Friday the 13th, between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m., the governor and the lieutenant governor were leading a cleanup at Tengisin Beach, far away from Manila, right? They're just picking up trash like nothing was going on in this island regarding a public health outbreak. Jesus Christ. You can cast on my screen so people can see all of this. Oh my God.
It's for the books, Troy. It's for the books.
Oh my goodness. Jesus Christ. All their photos. Now, their Marble Cave. That's kind of in Manila, but very far away from Ground Zero. They're at Poggett Cave. Jesus Christ. Can you cast off my screen? Because I need to grab something from WhatsApp.
It's coming.
I want to show you that these guys were in. There was a Lions Club inauguration ceremony or something that the governor and lieutenant governor were at. The governor and lieutenant governor throughout this entire thing have been anywhere but leading this island out of this dengue crisis. And when we needed their leadership to prevent dengue from happening by quarantining that first person and then that second person, they failed both times. But the news of the night is the fact that this student is not under quarantine and that these mosquitoes have access to this student.
And the fact that they didn't even give us a chance to let us save ourselves. I really feel like a fucking second-class citizen.
Maybe they think that like if they left enough off, you know, that orange can, that it'll be good enough for us second-class citizens. Yeah. Yeah. This is the worst governor in our history because this is the worst public health crisis in 75 years Biba liberation. You know, when Crystal was talking about, the spraying is free, I would sure the fuck hope so.
It's not free.
You guys caused this problem.
It's not free. They got emergency $250,000. Do not tell me it's free.
I was like, well, I guess Merry Christmas from the governor. We all get dengue from the governor. Look at.
Biba Guam. Here's dengue for free. That's the only thing free was the freaking dengue.
National Mosquito Day was the day of the news of the first suspected case of dengue. Now it's National Preparedness Month. Obviously, we can give up on that. Man, I guess our photos are not coming in. So, all right.
Well, the governor was at the Fenhita conference or whatever that thing was.
What the hell is that?
The decolonization, whatever.
Why didn't they just call it a decolonization conference?
It's Fenhita. Okay. Well, if we all get dengue, we're not going to have a decolonization.
Hita, iman mosquito tanu.
Guam, this is crazy.
No thanks. Okay, it's okay because I'm tired anyway, you guys. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Mad, you were getting mad earlier.
I was super mad. I'm still mad.
You have to express it live
I
on
did.
the show.
I did.
Man, you fucking wasted some of it then.
I feel like a second-class citizen, honestly. And if all of you, this is all of you, everybody who watches our show, everybody who doesn't watch our show, they knew since Friday. Since fucking Friday. We go today to check the pesticides, and it's gone. They didn't give us a chance. If that doesn't...
The place in the row of the shelves, and there's the yellow like price tag, like the whole thing is gone. It's like it's like a row of Christine Calvo's favorite beer on the day that she reloads, you know?
Oh, they had a training to detect for drugs. You know when they pull people, they had
like a DUI training.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just want to tell the first lady, the
former first lady.
Former first lady. Thank you for.
She got pulled over?
No. They used her to check if they like. She was the dummy. So thank you for giving back to Guam. They used her as to test to see if they could tell if she's drunk or what.
Did they? Were they
I
like?
have if they're gonna
this
do
is very realistic.
no,
ma'am.
if they're gonna
This is
have
very
another
realistic.
one, I have a couple people, whatever, if they're on drugs or on alcohol or on marijuana, like I have a couple volunteers, but I didn't have to have anybody come because the first lady was the dummy.
Well, good. What a dummy she is. But you know what?
Thank you for your services.
You know what, Chelo? Like I'm kind of missing
What?
Governor Eddie Calvo these days.
I am too.
Holy shit! This administration is something else, man.
People need to get fired. I don't know
Sure.
about this governor, guys. If there's a war coming, she ain't gonna give a fucking two shits about us. They probably even won't warn us. Troy, on a serious
She
note,
probably won't even be on our side.
she'd probably be fucking out of here. She was fucking boom out of here.
Oh my goodness.
Do you want to go over our comments?
Yeah, Gina says, did you know there are cancer-causing agents in mosquito coil? That's why it was pulled off the shelves. I didn't know that. Man, we need some mosquito coils, though.
Just
worry
burn-
about the cancer later.
Burn the husk, the coconut husk. You have some outside.
But we don't have any more coconut trees because of the rhino beetle.
Well, then Guam, you're fucked.
Good job, Governor. The Lou flu. Hi, Auntie Janice. Roberta Mendoza says that specific pesticide can only be found at Home Depot. Oh, it's an insecticide? No, also Benson, but not anymore.
Yeah, you can't find it anymore.
Go to the governor's house and ask if he can borrow some of her stock. Amy says I have symptoms of dengue. Don't say that. Let's see. Gina says, have the kids wear long sleeve jackets, long pants, socks to cover their ankles, and if you can spray them with some insect repellent before leaving to school, that is the best way to protect them. Mm-hmm. That and vote for a new governor.
Isn't that there's no law that says she needs to inform the public? How does this work?
Human decency, I would suppose. Like I don't know. I don't think we've ever had a situation like this before. I don't think we've ever had a situation where we've had an inept governor. Like I don't think she was ready to govern.
And
She doesn't
everybody
know how to.
that we tried to get a hold of today, they could not answer anything.
They don't know how to govern, Chellen. They're incapable of governing.
We're all gonna die, guys. I'm not ready to die yet. I didn't do enough good, I wanna make my mark. I'm not ready to die.
Man, I have the exact opposite way of thinking. I'm not ready to die because I haven't done enough bad.
No, I've done enough bad. I'm ready to, I
I'm
want
just
to
kidding,
leave my
guys.
mark. I want to be able to close my eyes and say, okay, Johnny, you did what you needed. You did everything you could.
It's all in God's time, Chellen. It really is. But we're not gonna.
I ain't fucking dying from no goddamn mosquito.
That's embarrassing. That's not gangster at all, Chelu. That is not gangster at all. Mel Skilling says to Gina, "Oh, my kiddies go there." Are they talking about Price Elementary? Because that's in Manila as well. Amy Jackson's son is Chifi. Is at Price Elementary? Yeah, I think they're talking about Price.
A lot of our friends' kids go there. That's their area.
Amy said, "Doni Festival, rain, mosquitoes, crowds of people. What the fuck?" Guys, Amy doesn't have bad grammar. She just has bad eyes. So
And fat fingers.
Gina says, "I kept thinking about the boonies behind the school and all the standing water from all the rain over these past days, and I felt it was not safe to keep the kids outside and being exposed to mosquitoes. My goodness." Yeah, man. I feel I have to go outside and smoke cigarettes. I'm not liking that. I automatically feel itchy.
Prim, can you please take that picture off the mosquito because I feel like it's crawling on me.
But you guys know what that mosquito. You guys have seen that mosquito. It's very
Yes.
Amy says, "Bet they got all the mosquito coil." Hi, Linz Hidinko. Gina says, "Someone's making some good money off that insecticide thing." Yeah. Oh, Gina says, "Oh crap! There goes our Section 30 money." Oh, there's a limit of, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's $250,000 is the limit per emergency declaration.
Yeah, it said that in that declaration that she signed on the 13th.
It said $250,000.
$250,000.
Yeah, that's the legal limit.
So, what is this? Let me sign that. It's Friday. Oh my God, it's almost 5 o'clock. Hurry up. Sign that.
Gina asks, "What is the harm in putting the victim in quarantine? It is the most cautious and proactive action that can be taken." Gina, can you please call the territorial epidemiologist and the director of public health? And after you cuss them out and tell them to resign, can you let them know what you're saying? Because, I mean, it makes sense to every reasonable person on this earth, except to our director of public health, our governor, and the territorial epidemiologist, who, by the way, isn't even an MD. We got her CV earlier today, and the only on-the-field practical experience she had, according to her CV, was in 1980 as a census enumerator. She has been a university researcher for between that time and the time she left Hawaii to come work in Guam as a territorial epidemiologist. And she has a PhD, not a medical degree. Just so you all know. All right, guys, I need to eat spaghetti, and it's midnight, and there's a lot of work left to do to finalize this show and to prepare for tomorrow. Do you have anything else, Charlotte?
Thanks, Governor.
I'm not gonna do trash talk, yo. I'm lazy.
Yeah, thank you, Governor.
Thank you. We appreciate the early Christmas gift, Governor. This dengue is wonderful.
Thank you.
We love you, Guam.
We love you, Guam.